Hello, Dr. James Bogash, expert in health and longevity, and today we're visiting again the topic of the fact that we live in a toxic soup, and everything we're exposed to pretty much has all kind of toxins in it that are not good for our health. That goes from BPA to in plastic water bottles to the forever chemicals, the perfluorinated PFOA, PFOAS, Teflon, those kind of anti-stain resistant stuff. We are exposed to all kinds of things. You can't avoid all of them. You can certainly do your best to reduce exposure and hope for the best. I've certainly talked recently about microplastics and how they even show up in the testes, and we take in about a credit card's worth of microplastics per week. Like, that's a little disturbing. A lot of these plastics or microplastics have estrogen-like effects. So what would happen if certain topical products that we put on our skin have microplastics in them? And that's a pretty common thing in cosmetics and in sunscreens. We already know that certain sunscreens are, they're more likely to cause cancer than they are to protect against cancer. And there is a product called a homosalate, like the aspirin, acetacylic, so homosalate. And it's found in, depending upon what region you're on, 15 to 50% of sunscreen products, and it's generally determined to be safe, and that's what a lot of dermatologists will say. But we certainly know that with time, a lot of these compounds that we have concerns on are later shown to be toxic, like Teflon or the perfluorinated compounds. 30 years ago, well, they're perfectly fine, and now we know that things are not. So generally, when there's a concern now, there's going to be justification for concern in the future. And this particular study looked at what happened when you combined the homosalates and these plastic-like compounds in sunscreen. And it turned out, at least in the petri dish or in zebrafish are used for reproductive toxicity or developmental biology, so both reproduction and development. And it found that when they combined those two, it made all kinds of stuff bad. So in males, they had testosterone problems. In females, they had reproductive problems and cancer problems. The whole sunscreen thing is an issue to start with. I think that you've got SPF 600 in sunscreen product or in cosmetic products now, and those are going to have different compounds in them. For me, if I'm going to be out in the sun for less than 45 minutes to an hour, I don't usually do anything. If I'm going to be in the sun for longer, I use barrier protection. So hat, rash guard, sun shirts, so that I can minimize the use of, or my need for sunscreen. And I'm usually going to try to stick for something like zinc that has, it's a well-established, I don't think I've ever come across any toxicity with any zinc oxide type products as far as blocking the UV A and UVB lights from the sun. Keep in mind that we need to have some degree of sun exposure, both the infrared and the UVB, to make vitamin D and to help make nitric oxide. So just saying that we need to be very careful with what we're putting on our skin, because if there's a concern now, it's likely that concern is going to be borne out with future research, despite what people say today. So, as always, I'll post a link to this particular study in the description. Make sure you like this video, share it with somebody who you think needs the information, and subscribe to the channel.